You know, there's something magical about college radio. Speaking from experience, being a college radio DJ is really empowering because you get to play the music you want to play. Of course, as a college radio DJ, you're probably not thinking that someday someone might record samples off of your show, put it on a mixtape, and have it eventually wind up in the hands of a stranger. But that's exactly what happened here. So let's dig into some 90s era lo-fi rock as we keep getting higher. It's time for case file 0117500, Erosion.
Erosion, it's what happens every day, but you just keep getting higher.
And hey, it's not a song that originated on What's That Song. Instead, it got to start here on YouTube and uploader Sushi Squid Productions. Please, get all your jokes about Squid Song out now. Eeboo, eeboo. And at one point, Sushi Squid was active on the FMM server, which is where we got some of the details about the song, including what the mixtape was actually labeled. Sadly, this is actually a point of contention. At this point, I'm sure you're asking, well, couldn't we just ask Sushi Squid? Well, for some reason, Sushi Squid has ignored us entirely for months now, and while I'm not in the habit of calling people out, certainly be nice to hear from them again. Anyway, one of the earliest questions about this song is one that still persists to this day, whether the song is actually two songs. And so there's a dip in the music. We also discussed that it would be nice to know some of the other tracks on this mixtape, but well, you know, Sushi Squid was already MIA at this point. Marktrail found a CD by a band called Might As Well from the late 90s that had a song on it called Erosion. Though he wasn't sure, some believed it was a promising lead. Then, a few days later, it was sadly ruled out. Anyway, we also ruled out some obscure college rock bands and labels, including label Harriet Records and bands such as Betty Please and Smokey Bones. So now let's talk a little bit more about the mixtape that Sushi Squid found. The initial information we had was that the mixtape was labeled BC Radio Mix 3, and that Sushi had found this mixtape in Boston. So we discussed this likely meant either Boston College or Babson College, both of which are based out of Boston. We asked a number of people from both Boston and Babson, including obscure music expert Carl Thien, who has actually helped identify several Lostwave tracks, but had no idea on this one. Saber and I found WZBC, that's Boston College's radio station, alumni group on Facebook. Turns out the user Jacob had also previously reached out to this Facebook group about Erosion. Of course, this also led to nothing of note. We went back to the label on the mixtape found by Original Poster, with Jacob pointing out that server member music expert Niski mentioning the Original Poster had originally said the mixtape said BCR Mix 3 and not BC Radio Mix 3. And wondering if it could actually mean Belfast Community Radio. I also heard back from two people I reached out to, a Discogs power editor of Boston 90s era rock, who asked if we had the rest of the track list. Then I also heard back from Boston College DJ David White, who provided a long, thoughtful, and nice response and asked one question. Are you ready for this? He wanted to know if we had a track list. He also questioned if we were certain this was from WZBC, as the possible transition between two songs I mentioned wasn't something that was normally done on WZBC. Then Saber and I found another really promising lead. Another WZBC DJ named Mitch Hamilton that had numerous tapes and records from years of WZBC shows. I also heard from a site for college music called Slicing Up Eyeballs, though they too had no idea about this song. Niski, who is very musically adept, said he believes that Erosion is one song, not two. In fact, he said he'd eat a shoe if it was two songs, and was serious enough to say that I could remind him if he was wrong. We also discussed Harvard radio station WHRB, hearing back from at least one DJ there as well. I found a blog on Bandcamp about 90s era Boston indie rock, and the person that wrote it, Erin, got back to me. She was super nice, but unable to ID our mystery track. I also heard back from a blogger that runs a blog called Willfully Obscure, and a man who reviewed hundreds of 90s era lo-fi indie rock bands, and both of them also had no idea. Meanwhile, Niski was doing everything they could to help find this track. Seriously, I cannot understate the amount of work that they did looking into this track, including numerous complex searches of the Discogs database. And it's also Niski who may have changed the course for this search quite a bit. See, Early in this search, we had reached out to Babson College only to be told their radio station didn't use satellite, and with Boston having a stronger signal and this song likely being from the 90s, we kind of ignored Babson. Well, Niski did some CSI level audio analysis to discover signs that this was recorded off of satellite radio, and it turns out that Babson broadcasted on satellite starting in 1998. And Babson radio actually went by BCR, which suddenly made Babson more likely than Boston. Then a few days later, Niski got a hold of the Babson College radio manager when it got started in the late 90s and early 2000s, Eric, who said the song reminded him of a college band called Shem, though even Eric wasn't sure that that would be something we could ever corroborate. The only Shem we could find that existed around this time was a techno band, and definitely not what we were looking for. Niski got back in touch with Eric, who said he'd try to get us in touch with a classmate who was familiar with the guys from Shem, but we never heard back from him. And I'm trying something bold here and letting my audience know something I haven't let Discord know yet, though I will tell them as soon as this video drops. So, surprise guys. Though it's not a super exciting surprise, but well, remember Mark Hamilton, that WZBC DJ Saber and I were both trying to get a hold of? Well, I contacted him on May 8th, and on June 26th, he finally got back to me. So, why isn't this super exciting? Well, after sending him a lot of the research we'd done for this song, as well as asking about Shem, he didn't respond back. Whether he will remains to be seen, but it is a little bit of a letdown. Still, with more and more people taking interest in this song, I really do hope and believe we'll get our answer soon. Until next time, I'm PersonOfDistraction, and I'm now listening to.
But I was the one, and I was 10 times you. I was a whole lot more than I wanted to be. Erosion, it's what happens every day, but you just keep getting higher. You lose your head, you lose your leg, and you lose your way, so you just keep